I've come to realize that for our family, homeschooling was not a choice, it was a requirement. And so when my husband told me that I would homeschool the children, I told him he was crazy. There was no way I was homeschooling the children, and I was certainly not qualified to do so. Not to mention, it scared me to death. That is a huge responsibility, the education of your children. And I was certain that I was not made to do that. That there was somebody much more qualified that would do a much better job at educating our children. I could not have been more wrong. Are our children going to be academically the most educated children? No. Will they be able to be great human beings who hopefully love the Lord and follow after Him? Are they going to know how to do all of the things that they need to know how to do to live in this world? Yes. And that, for my husband and myself, is the most important thing. That they know how to be functioning, helpful, kind, obedient human beings to the Lord. Following after Jesus is hard. And you're not going to learn how to do that in school. And honestly, you're not going to learn how to run a business in school. And you're probably not going to learn how to balance your checkbook and keep your finances in order in a public school. And these were hard truths that had to come to me. I remember going to meet with the principal at our local elementary school at the time and sharing that we thought we were going to homeschool. I remember being told by this principal that I was unqualified, that our children would suffer, that they would be so much better off if we just brought them to school and let the teachers do their jobs. And see, what I had not yet learned at the time is that it's not the teacher's job to teach my children. It's not their job to train my children. It's my job. And it's my husband's job. And we are told clearly to train your children up in the way that they should go. And because we were told that so very clearly in Scripture, we had to evaluate, are we going to be able to do that if our kids are in public school or not? And for us, for me, after a long chat with the Lord, the answer was no. I wasn't going to be able to do that well. Our children were going to come home from school exhausted, with even more schoolwork to do, especially as they aged. We were going to miss those special family moments. We were going to miss those days of gardening, of growing seeds together, of tending the animals and starting the farm and having animals born on our farm and learning husbandry. Dad was at work, and he was not going to see his children as much as he needed to, and as much as they needed to. For us, this was a calling. It wasn't an option. It was us being obedient to the Lord to homeschool our children. Am I saying that everybody is going to be called to this? No. But what I am saying is that if you are being called to this, please, blessed friend, obey. Because you are going to see blessings in your family that you never even imagined would be possible. I cannot tell you all of the memories and the special times that our family has had together because we were home together. We were doing life together. I can't tell you the relationships that we have with our children today, with even our almost adult children today, with our teenagers today, with our pre-teenagers today. The relationships that we have with those kiddos is nothing like it would have been if they had been in somebody else's care for 7 to 8 hours a day. It's just nothing like it. We genuinely like each other most of the time. We have a good time together. We tend our home and our farm together. We go on trips together. When Dad's home, we're home. When we're working our businesses, the children are working our businesses with us. They're learning how to care for people when we care for people. They're learning how to have hard conversations with people. They're learning how to show Jesus to people that would ordinarily not see Jesus because our children are with us. They're with us all the time. They're never without their parents to train them in the way they should go. And while that's exhausting, it's certainly worth it. The rewards and the blessings that we have seen from hard choices like homeschooling, like homesteading, like having our own businesses have been well worth it. And I am telling you now, I'm asking you now, that if the Lord is leading you toward a life like this, a simpler life, a more fulfilling life, a home-based life, maybe a life in another country, maybe a missionary life, I'm asking you to prayerfully consider obedience to Him, because His way is always better than what we could even imagine. I want to encourage you as you step into homeschooling, if you've made this decision and you're ready to jump in, I want to encourage you to find a community around you, find another homeschool mom or dad that you can be encouraged by, because this is not easy. Friends, homeschooling your children is not easy. It's not a walk in the park. You don't just get a workbook and work through it. Homeschooling is not simple, but very rewarding. And you and your children can make your homeschool look how you need it to look for each individual child. You can cater each child's learning experience specifically to them and to the direction that they want to go in their lives, to the direction that the Lord is leading their individual lives. I want to encourage you to get on the same page with your spouse. I want to encourage you to go to a homeschool convention and be totally overwhelmed by all of the possibilities that are out there. There are so many choices when you homeschool. You don't have to be a Christian to homeschool. You don't have to be a Jesus follower to homeschool. You don't have to even think that the public school is bad to homeschool. You can just want a different life for your family. That's why we started. We wanted a different life for our family. My husband is a firefighter. He works crazy hours. But the times that he's here, that he's home, we get to be here with him as a family. I get to manage our household schedule around his schedule so that our children actually get to spend time with their father. How wonderful is that? Don't you think maybe in today's world, we should have more times with fathers that want to be with their children? I do. I think that's part of what's missing in our society, is a father who loves and cares for his children and wants to spend time with them. I think that if God is calling you to this, you can say yes. I know you can do it, because I was the most unqualified of all. Guys, I probably barely passed high school because I just didn't care. I didn't care to learn all of the dates and the times and memorize all the things. I wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. And you know what? I've gone on to teach myself those things. I didn't have anybody walking alongside of me saying, "Oh, you want to learn how to sew? Great, I'll teach you that." Although I did learn how to sew from my mother and grandmother. I didn't have someone walk alongside me when I started my business to say, "This is how you have a business. This is how you make candles. This is how you make an excellent product so that people will benefit from this product, not just make a mediocre product so you can make money." I was able to put my passion into learning so that I can now teach my children how to follow their passions and how to learn what they want to learn. What a great experience. If I had had 9 children in the public school system, I would have never had the time to do that with each one of my children. And as it is now, I have children getting ready to leave the home educated on what they want to be educated on and what their father and I required them to be educated on. It's huge when you're together as a family in homeschooling. And so I just want to sit and encourage you. You can do this. I promise you can do this. There are others around you that have been doing this for a long time, that would love to sit and chat with you about school, to share with you all of the options that there are for your child and for you to teach your child, so that your days don't end in tears and they end in a joyful celebration. They end in fun games with dad. They end in a learning experience outside doing whatever it is you're into: hiking, hunting, camping, gardening, snowboarding, whatever it is you're into. If you're into pottery, if you're into wood carving, there are so many hobbies. This is the kind of thing you can do when you homeschool. You can gear your entire year around learning a skill. It doesn't just have to be this random class that a teacher is going to teach and your child is going to forget. It can be a class that your child is genuinely interested in, like photography. And you can take that class with your child, and not only is your child learning these things, but you're learning these things as well and furthering your education. I'm almost 40, and I am still an avid learner. I love to learn new things. But I'd never have time to do this with my children if they weren't home with me. So I encourage you today, if God is speaking this to you, if he's been whispering at you, or maybe not whispering at you, I encourage you to find somebody in your area that you can talk to about homeschooling, because it's not as difficult as it seems. It's hard, but it is not difficult. It is very possible, and you can do it. I know you can, because you are the best teacher for your child. Nobody else knows your child like you do. You are going to be able to teach them and cater their lessons to that specific child. And it's going to be different with each child, and that's okay. That's okay. You can go to the library and you can play all the fun games and you can learn all the great things. You can get a turtle out of the creek and raise it. You can get frogs out of the creek and find them in pockets. It is great fun homeschooling. It's like an adventure every day. And I encourage you to jump into that adventure with both feet, with your children, hand in hand. I pray the Lord's blessing on your schooling. I pray the Lord's blessing on your relationship with your spouse and the relationship with your children. I pray that you are able to find a simpler life that is more fulfilling than anything you could have ever dreamed of. My blessings to you and your family.